Welcome to the GPLama YouTube channel, and today Wahoo have claimed the top step when it comes to feature sets of direct drive trainers and indoor smart bikes with refreshes to the KICKR and the KICKR bike. Now, true to form, Wahoo are calling these the new KICKR and the new KICKR bike. To differentiate them, I'll call them the KICKR 6 and the KICKR bike V2. Jumping straight to the details of what's new, Wi-Fi connectivity is finally here, something I've wanted to see for a very, very long time. The Direct Connect module almost got us there with a bit of an addition. You could make that wireless, but it doesn't replace the wired port that still exists on the KICKR and is introduced to the KICKR bike too. But Wi-Fi is here, it's working, it's brilliant. I've done the microwave popcorn test, stay tuned for that later on. Both units now get automatic firmware updates pushed out from Wahoo HQ. There's an odometer on the KICKR bike V2 and the KICKR 6, so you can keep track of usage. Now these are flywheel kilometers as well, not Zwift, RGT, or computed kilometers. And both the KICKR 6 and KICKR bike 2 have ERG Easy RAM. So if you catch yourself in the spiral of death and can't go anywhere, it'll disengage and then bring you back to that target wattage over 10 seconds, where you'll probably end up in a spiral of death again anyway. But it is a new feature on these. Now, specifically for the KICKR bike V2, it does get the Direct Connect port. KICKR bike version 1 didn't have the Direct Connect port, in addition to the wireless that it now has. It has a quieter operation. Version 1 of the bike had some resonance and a bit of a hum at around 63 RPM. And I believe the shifter control port has been redesigned to address some sweat ingress problems. With the KICKR bike version 2 still in transit here to the Llama Lab, I'll cover that more in detail at a later date, but I have been riding the KICKR 6 for a couple of weeks now. It's passed the Llama Lab test with flying colours, the Wi-Fi has been simple and flawless, and I'm happy to use it as a baseline to compare other power meters to. So if you're short on time, that's all you need to know about what's new today. If you want to stick around, let's dig into some details. Pulling up the technical specifications of the KICKR 6, which is very, very similar to that of the KICKR 5. Direct Drive Interactive Smart Trainer comes with an 11-speed Shimano /SRAM compatible cassette. Bike support out of the box, through axle 142, 148, quick release 130, 135. The unit is height adjustable. There are 5 different height options for this. It has the Kickr AXIS Feet, which give it a bit of wiggle. It allows you to adjust the trainer if you don't live on a flat earth. Over wireless, you get ANT+ power, ANT+ FEC, Bluetooth FTMS. You have Wi-Fi, which is Direct Connect protocol. That's configured with a few clicks using the Wahoo Fitness app. The Direct Connect port still exists on the back of the trainer, so if you don't like wireless, you can buy the adapter, plug things in, convert everything over to Ethernet. The data you'll get from the trainer: power, speed, cadence, and control, obviously. Power accuracy, plus or minus 1% claimed. Max wattage, 2200 watts. Max gradient, 20%. Flywheel size, 7.2 kilos. Has a pivoting rear axle, so for support for the KICKR Climb and the Elite Riser. Has auto calibration, has an odometer, has ERG Easy RAM, has automatic firmware updates, or you can do it manually via the Wahoo Fitness app, and it comes fully assembled. So as mentioned in the intro, there are no trainers on the market at the moment that comes close to that feature set. And of course, it comes at a price. Pricing has been bumped a little bit with this refresh, except for the Australian market. That remains the same as the KICKR 5. So US $12.99, pounds you're looking at $10.99, euros $12.99, Canadian $18.79, and here in Australia, again, remaining the same with $17.99 for this trainer. Availability is right now, globally, so you should be able to pick one up if this is what you're after. Now, I suspect there's going to be 2 opinions on this lineup or refresh. Some people are going to say, meh, it's a KICKR 5 with a few small updates. Now, if you're like me and you've had nothing but trouble with Bluetooth direct to Windows, ANT+ dropping out because of your microwave oven, then you'll be like, hell yes, Wi-Fi, bring it on. And that's definitely where I'm at. It was the first thing I configured, the first thing I wanted to check, and the first thing that put a big smile on my face because it just worked as was written on the side of the box, which in the current climate is a good thing to have something work straight out of the box. Now, given the similarities with the KICKR 5, there's no real need to do an unboxing and tell you what it all comes with. It's almost identical. What I will give you though is my quick rundown of the notes that I made after a few rides on this. So, as I've mentioned, pairing just works. I run a Google Nest Mesh in the Llama Lab, and it has been flawless connecting via that. The KICKR AXIS Feet, well, they're fine. It's no rocker plate, but they do add a little bit of wiggle and adjustability. It is a quiet operation. The free hub is also pretty quiet when coasting. My fans and my music are definitely louder. I had no gear indexing issues installing a Shimano R8100 12-speed cassette. I used an 1130 on the back. The sim mode gradients were prompt with little to no lag. Coasting was quick to report 0 watts and 0 RPM within 2 to 2.5 seconds. That's good for the Super Tuck on Zwift. The ERG mode set point was rock solid. It wasn't dancing around the target wattage at 200 and 250. It locked on there nicely. I did find the cadence in ERG mode seemed to be a few RPM higher than the pedals and crank, but it was pretty close given how it estimates your cadence from your pedal stroke. It's also worth noting the KICKR still does some smoothing, even when that option is disabled, but not too much. Sprinting wise, the unit packs a punch with that massive flywheel and stable base. There were no issues spinning out the flywheel, and I hit around 1200 watts with no problems at all. ERG set point changes for shorter intervals, around 20 seconds, were felt within a second or two. The set point stabilization for those shorter intervals wasn't too bad, but smoothness here does require a smooth pedal stroke. And that can be quite hard at around 450 watts when you're fatigued. There was also no noticeable drift in power numbers over longer rides. In short, the Kickr 6 just worked for me. It was as close as flawless as any trainer that I've ever had. And that Wi-Fi connectivity, absolutely rock solid. It took the headache out of connecting via Bluetooth to either a companion app or direct to Windows or Ant Plus or Ant Plus FEC. Once all configured, Direct Connect just worked every single time. And that made me very, very happy. I suspected that would be the case once it was finally rolled out, and it's here. But there was one final test. Now this is 2.4 gig Wi-Fi, which can be interfered with by a microwave oven. So how did the Kickr 6 hold up against the microwave oven popcorn test? Let's have a look. Covering up the important details first, the flavour of popcorn is cinnamon donut, which was on sale for $1 today. That was a bonus. Now on the microwave oven there, I had the Edge 830 with the power graph shown. Now that is connected directly to the Kickr 6 via Ant Plus. Over on the right hand side, Kickr 6 is connected via Wi-Fi using the Durcon protocol. So once I unbox this and figure out exactly how to cook it and how to actually work the microwave, you will see what takes place. Showing you how much time I spent in the kitchen there, sitting stop. All right, away we go. And almost immediately, there's some issues with power over Ant Plus, over Wi-Fi. The power still not a problem at all. I actually dropped off the cocoa bunch there trying to figure out how to cook microwave popcorn. But as the Ant Plus signal gets completely blattered by the microwave, the Wi-Fi connection, also on 2.4, is rock solid. And as the microwave switches off, Ant Plus signal returns to normal, and the Wi-Fi signal remains unaffected. Absolutely brilliant. Very, very impressive stuff on the 2.4 connection. More impressive than my ability to burn the absolute shit out of the microwave popcorn. Maybe I should read the instructions next time. Anyhow, 10 out of 10, all good. That's a pass on the microwave popcorn test on the Kickr 6 Wi-Fi. And speaking of good data, here we are on the DC Rainmaker analysis tool where we can compare multiple power meters as an overlay and see how things stack up. Now over the last week or so, I've used 3 different bikes, numerous power meters, all with very, very good results. I'm pulling up just one ride here today, which is a Llama Lab Test Short with an extension where I'm just pressing on some pain points that I've identified with both the Kickr 5 early on and other trainers I've been testing lately. Jumping straight to the details here, Kickr 6 Asioma Duo up against the Powdermax and Gico, so 2 power meters on the bike, 1 power meter at the back of the bike, with the Kickr 6 providing resistance and control. Jumping straight here to the ERG test, 224, 225, 225, call it a day. We are good. No major separation, no drift, able to hold that ERG point really, really well at 200 and 250. Simple as that, just works. Sprints, also pretty good. Once the power meters figure out that I'm going hard, all 3 topping out at around 1215, 1220 right there at that data point. So all looking good for the sprints. Into the overs and unders. And look, probably a little bit jagged. That does come down to fatigue. If you're really, really smooth on the pedals, that line will be nice and smooth along the top, but that's not too bad. Data-wise, what are we looking here for? What I've grabbed, 218 on the Kickr, 220, 220 on the 2 power meters on the bike. Definitely within specification. Flywheel speed test, which is a true test of a trainer, where I put it in 225 watt ERG mode in the very, very easy gear, so a slow flywheel speed. And then the next section, right in the center there, I speed the flywheel up. And the last section, 5311 or 5312, really spin things up, where trainers usually, well, completely fall apart when it comes to power accuracy. It's really hard to get accurate power for 225 watts at that flywheel speed. What we see here is some pretty good response. Slow flywheel speed, tracking pretty well there. Higher flywheel speed, things start moving around a little bit, but again, there's no major separation. And in the high flywheel speed, the Kickr's reading just a little bit under, but really nothing to be too concerned about. This really is an edge case, so you really won't be using this gear in ERG mode, and this performs a lot better than other trainers that I've seen. Typically the last section there always gets a fail. That one, That's pretty close to, oh look, let's give it a pass based on what I've seen recently. Numbers 212, 214, 216, all within a few watts, looking good. Short ramp test, and again, things looking good. There's a little bit of separation as I spin things up into a higher cadence. The Powder Max just seems to be a little bit more jumpy and reads just a little tiny bit higher than the other two. I'm putting it down to maybe a different sampling rate than the other two, but no major separation there as things ramp up into a little sort of hard acceleration effort. Next up is a short little stint up the reverse Epic KOM at lower flywheel speed at higher wattage. So we can see here there's 5 minutes 24, averaging around 281, 281, 284, so Power Max NG code's a little bit higher. The only thing I can really pick out is probably about here. I'm in the 3630, I think, on the back. So a really slow flywheel speed. The chain line is a bit like that, and I'm losing a few watts on the Kickr. So here that's, what's that, about 20 watts there actually, through here. Now depending on the exact data point, now I'm using zero smoothing. This is all exact data points at every second, looking at about 10 watts there or so. So there's a little section through here where I was in the small and big on the back, again, chain on an angle, slower flywheel speed. And if you do the math on that, that's probably about right. Previously on the Kickr 5, on the, might have been the pre-production firmware, we saw the power reading a little higher than it should in that exact scenario. So that's probably more accurate. The next section, a little bit less steep. It was 1 or 2 gears down and the power came back into line. So all's looking good through there. Look, I'm really nitpicking that, but it was something that I needed to look into given the performance of the Kickr 5 with its initial firmware. Following that, I did a U-turn, and it was a downhill flywheel speed test in sim mode. Similar to what I do here in ERG mode. This flywheel is really, really high. This is in sim mode now, going down a hill. So the power reporting isn't too bad at all. You can see it's pretty jerky through here as I'm on the pedals trying to spin things up as the gradient drops off, but no major problems at all or major separation through here. Bit of a drop there from the Faveros, quite possibly a gear change that it may have picked up in its sampling because all 3 dropped there. But for the downhill flywheel speed test on the Kickr 6, that also gets a pass. And the last little section I'll grab, not really part of the test, but just gives us an indication if things are drifting away. Just riding along. At this point in time, I'm pretty much sitting up on the phone, answering emails. 182, 182, 185. Powder Max just a little bit higher. Given it's an NG code, I believe that's still within spec. Quickly covering off cadence. Now I did mention in ERG mode, the cadence was a little elevated on the Kickr 6. That's in purple through here. So 93, 91, 91. 91 being the 2 power meters on the bike. So it's cadence estimation just a little higher. But in sim mode, just riding along, it did a pretty good job grabbing this 84, 84, 84. That's as good as you need from a cadence sensor. Mean max power curve of all the 3 power meters on there. So the Kickr, Aciomas, Powder Max, all looking pretty good. And the overall stats there, whilst not a true overall picture, it gives us the average overall, depending on the starts and stops and things. Now, this is why I use the Garmin Edge units across all the recording devices. If I was to mix and match recording devices, you do get different data, especially for these overall averages. What we've got here, though, from the 830, 1030, and 1040, 192, 192, 194, weighted powers at the normalized, 235, 236, 238, max power, 1237, 1215, 1224. Look, it's all happy days. Alrighty, and with that, there's not much more to say about the Wahoo KICKR 6. As I've mentioned, there's going to be 2 lines of thought with this. It's going to be a meh. It's a Kickr 5 with a few features I'll never use. Or it's a Kickr 5, which is a solid performer, with a few features I've been waiting for a very, very long time. I'm in the second camp. Now, whichever camp you're in, there's no question about it. There are no direct drive trainers out there at the moment with this amount of features. And dare I say, with that kind of performance either. Of course, there's a price to pay, but I don't think we'll see that kind of performance out of a $500 direct drive trainer. Time will tell. And with that, thanks for watching. As always, give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this content. Hit subscribe to support this channel and be alerted of new videos here on the GPLama channel. And there's a membership button there too. That really helps out. Alrighty, we'll see you next time.